Welcome back. You're watching Indian Open on BloombergQuint. Now, as promised, I think it's a discussion that I personally am really looking forward to have. Religare is raising a little over 900 crore rupees from a clutch of investors led by Bay Capital. Financial conglomerate now also has a new board led by professionals after Malvinder and Shivinder Singh decided to step down from the position at the helm. Maybe all of that has already led to investors believing that there is, yes, there is a Religare 2.0, but a revamped and a better functioning Religare 2.0 over the course of the next 2 or 3 years. To talk about all of that and more, and tell us what is in store to get the house in order, is independent director at the company, Vikram Talwar. Also, of course, joining me to talk about, take this conversation forward is my colleague Yatin Mota as well. Mr. Talwar, good morning and thanks for speaking to us at BloombergQuint. I'm guessing it's a tough job at hand. What's the way ahead? What will Religare 2.0 look like? We know that there are new directors, there is a hunt for a new CEO while an interim CEO is in place. The fundraising plan has been announced. But tell us all about Religare 2.0.
Thanks, Niraj, for having me on the show. This is, as you said a moment ago, a challenging job for all the board directors that are being inducted onto the board. 2.0 is all about the redesigned, restructured Religare. It will be a company that is professional. It believes in absolute integrity. It will be meant for both the employees, the shareholders, and obviously the public, the customers. The professionalism that we want to instill in this company is the right processes, the right governance, both the spirit and the letter, and of course, the best management we can find. Big challenge, without a doubt, but I believe this can be done. It's an excellent franchise. It's a well-diversified financial services company. It has all the ingredients for success. All it needs is right management, good governance, and absolutely one of the most essential elements, a sufficient amount of capital to grow as well as to fill in the gap that we currently have. So I have a great belief in the company. I wouldn't have taken on the role that I have if I wasn't. And I'm sure the others who have come on board, both the directors, but more importantly, the new investors, would never have done that if they hadn't gotten full support of the employees, which I'm hoping will be there. We had the occasion to talk to our senior management yesterday, and I can tell you they are an excellent lot of people, very committed, very loyal, and of course, very, very well professionalized in their business. Unfortunate events happened, but I'm sure we can eliminate the possibility of that going forward.
Yeah, I'm sure, and we'll come discuss all of these things.
I hope that gives you a broad idea.
No, please carry on.
Yes, of course we can talk about, sorry, as you probably know, Religare has a group of companies underneath the holding company. We have a large NBFC within which we have a good housing business. There is a health insurance business. And of course, there is a stockbroking business. And all of these are leaders in their businesses and are well known throughout the country. So you have the great infrastructure that you have. You have 7,000 excellent employees. And with that, with that kind of a franchise, all you really need to do is lead it correctly. And our intent is to find the right leadership. And with the right leadership, with the right direction, and very importantly, with the right governance to ensure integrity and ethics, I'm certain that we will make a really good and a very, very successful company out of Religare in the future.
So, okay, 2 points that I want to pick off from your answer, Mr. Talwar. One is you mentioned the need for funds, two, the need for the right management. What's the hope? Is there a hope to get an eventual permanent full-time CEO by the end of the current financial, or is that too soon a timeline to predict?
Well, our intent is to we're starting a search for a good CEO. A good CEO really means you're an experienced individual, someone who has turned companies around, has excellent financial management skills, but more importantly is a good manager. As you can imagine, that's not an easy task. However, we believe that it should possibly take us between 90 to 120 days to get that person in place. You will see that the person we get will be the right appropriate person. The task is not easy. I do not make small promises like ones that I can't keep. Yes, we will get somebody, but by the end of this financial year, around the corner, I think that's near impossible.
Yeah, which I factored in, but which is I was trying to figure out whether that is the eventual goal or no. Fair enough, 90 to 120 days.
It's absolutely, yeah. We hope, that's our expectation. We know there are good people out there. We know we can attract them. I know there's a lot of people out there that have the experience to do this. They need to have confidence in the board. I think with the new structuring of the board, they certainly should get some of that confidence. I have been personally through several of these turnarounds, not just in India, but also overseas. So I have a fairly good idea of what we are looking for here. And we have a fairly good idea of what the game plan should be to get this done. So we're very hopeful that it will be.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Talwar. This is Yatin also joining in from the research team. As you were mentioning earlier, Religare is a holding company for various businesses, out of which you have, or the previous promoters had decided to exit the healthcare insurance business and more importantly, the broking business also. So I just wanted to know that do those transactions stand or, will the new board look at restructure the business or probably renegotiate the transaction which the earlier promoters had entered into? I'm talking about the True North and the,
as you know, we just took over the board. Yes, I know. Yeah. I'm aware of those. Our intention is to relook at the entire structure. The sales haven't actually yet been consummated, as you probably know. We will certainly fulfill whatever commitments were made by the company in the past. However, we certainly will relook at the terms to make sure that they are in the best interest of the company and the shareholders and the employees. I think it's important for us to have the chance to do that. In my personal belief and that of the other members of the board, for an integrated holding company financial services entity, you require all of these ingredients, both the NBFC and the lending, as well as the support and more horizontal functions of insurance, broking, etc. So it's something we need to look at. My personal view, and this is purely my personal view, I would like to continue to have these services adjunct to what we do in the NBFC, to be able to get that customer base that we currently have within the company, which unfortunately has not been leveraged. So as we cross-sell to these people, there is a huge amount of opportunity that the company will have to grow itself just from within the customer base that it currently holds. So it is something we need to look at, we need to understand, we need to know what commitments have been made, and obviously we'll fulfill all the commitments there are. But as of now, we need to review that. And my personal view is we should keep them.
Okay, sir, in case the board decides to review, will there be any breakup fee that would be required to be paid by Religare Enterprises to Edelweiss or True North?
I am not aware, but like I said, I'm not aware of any, but if there is, we will certainly look at it. But let me reassure you that we will do exactly what is required by commitments made by previous management. So we're here to make sure that governance is totally appropriate and to do what is actually the right thing to do.
Mr. Talwar, I think there are two aspects to Religare 2.0, right? One would be the Cleanup Act, if I can loosely use that term, which would involve, kind of responding to the SFIO probe, which the news has just come out, recovering the debts, the money from the erstwhile promoters, so on and so forth. Two would be putting money into the new businesses and starting to make them work. How long does the Cleanup Act, to your mind, take before core business takes center stage? And is there any sense that you can, or any light that you can throw about how could the Cleanup Act pan out as well? Would the new board pursue aggressively the recovery of the dues from all debtors, including the erstwhile promoters? So
you've asked a series of questions here, so let me try and address them one at a time. Let me take the area of growth. The growth in the company is basically in the growth in the operating companies. The operating companies, obviously, to grow require additional capital. We have already, as we announced last night, approved the raising of additional capital. We believe that we have commitments of over 900 crores, a very large sum, if you can believe that, within the purview of the current situation. It's subject to the normal regulatory approvals, which we are applying for. Once we have that capital, we'll be able to recapitalize the NBFC, which has some shortfalls there in terms of the requirements, and then put new capital into the other businesses to raise the ability to grow these businesses, which in themselves are running very, very well, from what I'm told. I need to look into it a little more. But from everything that I've heard so far, the other businesses are in good shape. They require more capital. We will instill more capital within those from the amounts of money that are being raised at this point in time. So we are going to move ahead with growth as soon as possible. These things do take some time, you'll appreciate. They're not done easily. There are regulatory issues. There are issues of getting approvals. Our expectation is that in the near future, and hopefully before the end of this financial year, we'll be able to put more capital into these companies and raise whatever is necessary to be done to make sure that the company has the growth, the employees have the resources, and the company shareholders see the growth happening over a relatively short period of time. With regard to your other question about getting resources, sorry, go ahead. My apologies.
No, the same thing. I was just probably asking my second question. Getting resources and recoveries from the erstwhile debtors, the promoters, as the case may be as well.
Right. So obviously, every company has certain amount of bad loans, whether they're from, whether they're basically to customers that they've been made. Obviously, there is no doubt in our mind that if there are issues with the loans, which are yet to be seen and studied, and we're undergoing audits as we speak, we've instructed outside auditors to look at this portfolio and make sure that we identify every single loan which is not performing in the right fashion. And yes, we will go after anyone who owes money to the company. It is something that is our fiduciary duty. We intend to fulfill it completely, and we will not spare any effort whatsoever to collect whatever we can from those borrowers who are out there and have not repaid either their interest or their principal. So to answer your question in one line, we're going after them.
If I can just follow up a question, Mr. Talwar, I think in response to a Bloomberg story about $300 million, and I don't know if you are in the ability to be able to reply to that. I think the response that came in from Religare was that adequate replies have been made to the Delhi High Court. If you can tell us a bit about that, I mean, because the quote-unquote allegation is that the money was siphoned off, but we don't know the stand that the new board has on that amount.
Well, I'm unfortunately not that close to it as yet. We are still looking at it. I think it would be untimely and inappropriate for me to comment on that at this point in time.
Okay. Sir, since the new board is under, construction, if I may put it that way, but if you could tell us, is there any communication recently that you have received from RBI, SEBI, or investigation agencies? Because the news reports are full of allegations, and there have been reports about siphoning of money in various Religare subsidiaries. But if you could tell us, in the recent past or probably in the last 10-15 days, is there any written communication that the company has received from regulators, including SEBI and RBI?
I saw that article in the press myself yesterday. I have gone back and checked with everybody in the company that I can find would have any appropriate position. I'm informed with confidence that nothing has been received as of now. The moment we receive these things, and within the purview of our legal advice, we will let the market know. However, at this point in time, I am assured that there is nothing that we've received from any government agency for any special investigation. other than the normal look that the Reserve Bank does. But other than that, there's absolutely nothing that we've received that I'm aware of.
Okay, and so one final question, at least from my side, is regarding an open offer. Since we have a new management coming in, the probable definition of control, probably triggers an open offer, and more importantly, Bay Capital is something which is seen as running the entire operations. That's Religare, at least that is the market talk. If you could give us clarity as to, is there any open offer which could get triggered, especially after the conversion of warrants, or is there any investor who is willing to be classified as a promoter and running the operations and probably looking at an open offer or something of that sort, so that minority investors and their interests are protected?
Nothing that I'm aware of at this point in time. I'm not aware of any open offer. Nothing has been brought to the board. There is no discussion in that area, and we don't look at any one particular entity or individual being a promoter of this company. We want the stock holding to be diversified. We want this run as a professional organization without any single person having control on it. So that's our intent. There is nothing on the table, I assure you, and we believe that this is the best way to ensure the security and the growth and the value for the minority shareholder, rather than to get promoters in who necessarily don't always look at the minority shareholder with the same professionalism that they require.
Mr. Talwar, one final question. Usually, when a new board and a management comes in,
yes,
people tend to expect a V-shaped recovery, but we know that business doesn't recover in that fashion. Would you believe that Religare 2.0 will see a gentle U-shaped recovery, wherein FY19 could be a year of consolidation before growth picks up? Or do you believe that there is ample opportunity for a sharp uptick from the lows that we are at in terms of pure business for Religare?
So, sir, let me assure you that we are not here to show sudden growth, quick profits, and try and display bravado. I'm a firm believer in setting the base and the foundation. The board currently is totally in sync with that. I think we were going to do this the right way, which is the first former mention that you had, which is basically build the foundation, get the right people, get enough capital, and grow this business once we've consolidated it in the right fashion, understood the risks, and then grow the business in such a manner that we get better returns. But that's not a short-term measure. That is certainly a longer-term strategy. Now, I'm not talking about 5 years, but it's certainly not 1 year. So hopefully we will see the following year, 2021, as something that we can look forward to, great growth in the company. And we are confident we can deliver that.
Yeah, everybody's been watching this one, certainly hopes for that as well. I'm sure minority shareholders hoping for that too. Thanks so much, Mr. Talwar, for joining us today and giving us some clarity.